What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to another video here on Anfield Agenda. And tonight I'm going to be taking a look at the ownership situation at Liverpool Football Club with a little bit of an eye on what's going on at Manchester United as well. Now, obviously, the last 24 or 48 hours have been an explosion of news in the football world regarding what's happening with Manchester City, with regards to the ownership situations at Liverpool, Manchester United, who's in for who, how much can we expect to be sold, and when can we expect it to be sold. I'm going to try and give you as many answers as I can over the next few minutes. But, of course, I want to know your thoughts as well. So do drop a like on the video and let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Let's start off with who I think we can rule out. And from everything that I've been reading, from people I've been speaking to, it does seem like the potential of RedBird Capital, remember, who bought 10 or 11% of all of FSG's holdings in a deal worth about $550 million last year. I think it was last year, well, recently anyway. There's been some talk from Liverpool fans on some websites about the potential of them maybe increasing their stake and adding another 20%. From what I've been able to find out, it looks like no talks have taken place about that, and no talks are likely to take place about that. So at this stage, I think it's fairly safe to say that we can rule out the idea of RedBird Capital increasing their stake in FSG and in Liverpool Football Club. And I'm glad to hear that, because I don't think that would have been the right move whatsoever. For those of you who aren't aware, Jerry Cardinal and RedBird Capital bought AC Milan. And that hasn't been going very well. And all of the expertise that he's supposed to bring and value he's supposed to add to FSG and Liverpool doesn't seem to be doing too well there. So with the view to any potential minority shareholder eventually owning Liverpool outright, they wouldn't be investors that I would feel comfortable being the right fit for our football club to take us forward. And I don't think they'd have the bankroll either to do it. You'd be looking at bringing in other partners, and it just gets a bit convoluted and a bit confused. So for me, very happy to hear and read that that's unlikely. So I think we can park that up for the time being. But the big story, of course, over the past 24 hours or so has been the interest in Manchester United from the very same part of the world where we've got interest in Liverpool. Does that mean that the interest in Liverpool has come to an end? Are the Qatar investment arm, and I will get into the actual who's who in a minute, going to buy United, and Liverpool going to be left scratching their heads? Again, it doesn't look like that's the case. So the interest is certainly there from Qatar private business to come in and buy Manchester United. I think some people are linking it to the royal family in Qatar. Some people aren't. At this point, for argument's sake, I don't know if it matters or not, because ultimately who's who will be picked apart by the Premier League, who's behind what money, and all that stuff will come down the line. So we do know that Manchester United have an offer on the table, or an offer forthcoming in the coming weeks, that will be more palatable to their fans. Obviously, there's a Manchester United fan out there who's a billionaire, Jim Radcliffe, who Manchester United fans would be far more comfortable with him owning the football club because, one, he's English, two, he's a billionaire, and three, he's a Manchester United fan. Now, he owns Nice in France, and again, hasn't been going swimmingly for him, but the bid that's supposed to come in is believed to be one that's going to potentially blow other bidders out of the water for Manchester United. And that bid would be from the Qatar royal family, I think, again, as I mentioned a moment ago. But the important thing to point out here is that the Qatar bid incoming from Manchester United, as reported by the Daily Mail, by the way, is different to QIA, who again would be Qatar money, who are invested or who are potentially looking to invest in Liverpool. So again, it looks like at this point in time, both clubs could potentially have Qatar bids on the table for them. Now, from Liverpool's perspective, it's being thought that there's going to be a consortium of Saudi and Qatar business investors who would look to come in and buy the club or buy a share of the club. And I don't know this to be true, but I would find it very difficult to believe that with their background and with what they've done with buying PSG and with what they've done with the World Cup and with what they've done about how they have liked to use their influence on their projects, I find it hard to believe that if QIA or any money from that area of the world came in towards Liverpool, that they would be willing to sit there as minority shareholders. The only way that ever made sense to me is if it was with a view to a strategic longer term takeover if they like to dilute whatever other assets and holdings they have in other parts of the world, perhaps to focus on Liverpool. I think potentially Liverpool are better value, by the way. So Manchester United are valued by the Glazers at about £6 billion. I think that's a little bit over the top, but I also do think they might get it. Because right now we've seen Chelsea be bought by Todd Bowley for about 2.5 billion, rising up to just under 4 billion with what he had to commit to Stamford Bridge to redo it, what he had to commit to transfers and all this other stuff. So I think football clubs right now in England are probably just heading to the crest of a wave, or at the crest of a wave. There is projections that they will grow by 6.6% over the next few years, sports teams in general. So maybe there is still some value to be extracted from it, but it's confusing to try and figure out who's who when it comes to these investment arms that are popping up everywhere, being linked to Liverpool and United. Because ultimately, we don't know, and it's going to be very difficult to pick these apart and actually find out if there is any state interest or state participation in any of these takeovers. It's very, very convoluted and messy when you're trying to pick all this apart and really find out who's pulling the strings in any of these takeovers. But what I would say is, I'm open-minded to it. I'm open-minded. I don't want state interference in anything to do with football, whether it be Liverpool, United, whoever. Don't think it's right, never wanted it. But I've no objections to money coming from specific parts of the world if it's private entities. So I'm kind of excited and nervous because I think FSG feel like there is still money to be extracted from Liverpool in the long term, and that's why they're potentially talking about selling a minority shareholding in the club, because I think that they still feel that 6.6% growth that I've spoken about, that is rumoured to be the industry belief, what is happening with football clubs or sports clubs in general over the next few months, or a few years, excuse me. I'm a little bit, I don't know, I'm a little bit pessimistic about FSG selling up the whole lot. I wish they would, and I hope an offer does come to the table. But the real reason I just wanted to make this video tonight is to just try and give some positivity back. Because I know over the last 24 hours, it seems like the world has gone against us. You've got this stuff about Jurgen Klopp. You've got the stuff about the ownership group not having any offers on the table, which has been reported that 3 months into the process, there still isn't a firm offer. But I would say that over the next couple of weeks, particularly with Manchester United, the Glazers look like they've given a deadline of around mid-February for any potential ownership groups to step forward and declare their interest. And I would suggest to you guys that FSG and Liverpool are maybe sitting back. This could be completely wrong. I'm just giving you my take on the situation. Let's say only one person can buy United, right? So let's say somebody comes in and buys Manchester United. It's not very often that you're going to get football clubs the caliber of Liverpool, Manchester United, and Chelsea on the market, particularly in 1 year. So if you get a new owner at Chelsea, if you've got a new owner at Manchester United, Liverpool are probably the biggest club in Europe left that could be sold. So I would suggest that if FSG sat back and waited for United's deal to take place, that would probably bring more bidders to the table. And like I said earlier on, I think Liverpool is better value in this, because if you're coming in to buy Liverpool Football Club, you don't have to take on a huge capital project immediately with regards to Anfield, because it's already been developed. You don't have to look to the training ground because Kirby has already been developed. But if you look at Manchester United, Old Trafford needs to be redone. There's no doubt about that. You've seen the leaky roof. You've seen fans complaining. Carrington, you've heard the players like Ronaldo complaining about that. So a lot of money needs to go in there, on top of a lot of money, obviously, to buy it, and then a lot of money to invest back into the squad to give the manager. So for me, I honestly think Liverpool Football Club is better value, and I'm hoping that if United gets sold first, that actually brings more potential buyers to the table for Liverpool. So here's hoping. That's my take on it. I want to know what you guys think about it. Let me know in the comments section. And again, thank you so much for your time. Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.